Hey guys, so today we're going to explore why empaths attract manipulators, since that is something we empaths have come to recognize as a pattern. So let's see if Spirit and our spirit teams can get us any guidance on that. Explain why empaths attract manipulators the way we do. What is it about us? Spirit team of the collective I'm intending to read for. Okay, we're going to keep both. What else, Spirit? Why do empaths attract manipulators? And let's go with one more. Ooh, okay. Oh no. Okay. So we have the Six of Cups in reverse, which is normally a card about friendship, and just being with the people who give you emotional comfort and stability, old friends, family, things of that nature. Anyway, it's in reverse. We have the Eight of Wands, which is about the rapid influx of resources. We have the Eight of Swords, which is, for me, a false imprisonment, one by your own design. Like, she is bound, but if she opened up her eyes, she would see that she's not actually bound and she could actually walk away. It's better seen in the Rider-Waite deck than this one. But anyway, we have the Knight of Swords, which is an honorable go-getter. They defend the meek. They want justice and equality for all. And that is just their basic archetype. And then we have the Seven of Wands in reverse, which in this deck, the Seven of Wands is about a group of people who are on a journey, an adventure of sorts, and they haven't had very good luck. So they are taking some respite, taking some time to think, and until they can get back on their merry way. So, what does this have to do with why empaths attract manipulators? Okay, so this is the empath. The Eight of Swords and the Knight of Swords and the Eight of Wands. And this is the manipulator. No, this isn't the manipulator. This is the void. This is the void that empaths have, where they are not properly cared for. They are often doing the emotional labor for everybody else, but they don't really have someone doing that emotional labor for them, unless you're like in therapy or something. So they have this void where they don't feel they get a break. They don't feel they get rest. And I apologize if y'all can hear the heater in the background. I'm recording in the basement. Anyway, so empaths have this void where they don't feel understood, they don't feel supported, and they don't feel like anybody's helping them do the emotional labor that they're always doing for everybody else. And as a response to that, they see other people in need, and they can't help but say, let me help you. I know how it feels to not be helped. I know how it feels to not be supported. So let me support you, because sometimes a little love is all you need to get back on track. The problem is that we have a dual complex here. We have the savior complex, the I'm going to help anybody who needs help because that's the right thing to do, and that's what I needed when I was in that position. And the trapped by your own power. Because you are so nurturing, because you are so kind, people are going to flock to you and they're going to leech your energy. It's just going to happen. That is, they don't even know they're doing it. And that's the problem. They don't know they're doing it. So they can't stop because it doesn't even occur to them that they're doing something wrong in the first place. But because of your guilt, or because of the guilt of the empath, they feel that they need to keep going because maybe it just wasn't enough love. Maybe it just, they're on the right track, but they're not quite there yet. Which brings us to this card. You want to provide, or I'm sorry, empaths, empaths want to provide the respite for the adventurer. They want to provide the emotional support so that the hero can get back on their journey and go do the mission. Okay. All right, so why specifically manipulators? What is it about a manipulator that just loves the empath and will not let go? What is it about the manipulator that will not let the empath go? Oh, you make them feel powerful. I see. Okay, so we have the Knight of Wands, which is kind of a best friend that is also encouraging your passions and desires. We have the Hermit, which is self-isolation, usually for the purposes of introspection, but I am not getting that vibe here. We'll get back to that. We have the Page of Swords in reverse, which upright for me is a sneaky person, but they're very good at getting secrets. They're very good at understanding people, and they're just very sharp-witted. And then we have the King of Wands, which is the mature man that still fosters passion, fosters creativity, but he's less interested in ruling than he is being a guide, being a resource for others. So the manipulators, they think they're the King of Wands. They think they are this nurturing, compassionate person, but not emotional about it, because that would be the King of Cups. But they think they are wise, resourceful, and everything you need to get what you want in life. But the truth is, they're more of the Knight of Wands. They could have been the king, but something happened in probably their childhood, just based on psychology stuff, that stunted their growth, so they couldn't become the king. So they're stuck as the knight. And they're lonely. And they don't want you to know that they're lonely. They don't want you to figure out their secrets. So they keep you at a distance, which, as an empath, I can tell you that drives empaths crazy. We do not like when we know someone is feeling something and they are insistent that they're not. Or we know that there's something that isn't aligning, like a secret, and they are insistent that they're not hiding anything. That is powerful gaslighting for an empath, because the empath has no proof, no tangible proof that they're right. They have to trust their intuition, and it's hard to prove that. But they're lonely. They don't want you to know their secrets. And why do they latch onto the empath? What is it about empaths? We have strength in reverse, which is pretty aptly named. And we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse, which is about basically exile, being shunned by society, not having the resources you need to proceed, so on and so forth. And there's a card missing. What card are we missing here, Spirit? Okay, well, there's the empath. Okay. For one, the empath is easily duped. They have no problem believing that people are good at heart because they sense that that is the reality. Most people are good. Most people want to be kind people. They want to be good friends, good family, all the things. Manipulators have different circumstances. They don't have a normal upbringing. They don't have a normal family, childhood, or any of that. They had real trauma in their early childhood that was reinforced so that they cannot be that king that they're trying to be. And empaths need to understand that. However, as the sneaky sons of bitches they can be, they leech your strength and your resources because they want you down on their level. Obviously, there's some envy there. But ultimately, they don't know how to do what you do. They don't have empathy, so they don't know how to work with others to get their goals met and to get their needs met. They only know how to suck the life out of things. Quite literally. So they are going to continue to suck the empath dry until the empath gives up, which is devastating for an empath to give up. That is emotionally one of the most difficult things that especially new learning empaths can do. Excuse me. Giving up on people is completely counterproductive and counterintuitive to everything that the empath is and is meant to be. And the manipulator is relying on you to continue that pattern, to continue being the Knight of Swords, the I will help you because it's the right thing to do person, even at your own expense. And sometimes at the expense of people you love. Okay, Spirit. What other guidance do you have? What other messages that our empaths need to know about manipulators? Why they're attracted to empaths? Why it's so hard to break the cycle? Anything else that we can get some clarity on for our empaths? Or for the people who care for empaths? What guidance do you have, Spirit? What other messages? Okay. We have the Six of Wands, which is a minor victory. Like, you've won a battle, but the war's still going, and they're celebrating you for winning that battle, but, like, there's more battles to do. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. which is normally someone akin to a peer who is very good with money, work, and other earthly resources. They are typically very good at investing and have a sound intuition for that sort of thing. But they also believe that people need to make their own way in this world. And we have the Four of Wands, which is normally a card about like marriage ceremonies and other such joyful occasions that bring the whole family and or town together. However, I'm just seeing this gesture here for the very first time in the like decade I've had this deck. I've literally never noticed that before. Okay. You need to know when to let go. You need to learn when it's time to have people figure out their own stuff and figure out their own way. The advice here is help them get to their next step, not their final steps. So if they are coming to you with a problem, by all means, help them with that problem, not, you know, everything that they have going on, just the one thing that they're coming to you about. Help them with that one thing and then stop. Because empaths do not have strong boundaries by nature. Empaths are meant to develop those boundaries in spite of everybody else. In spite of everyone saying you're not entitled to those boundaries, even though we all know we are. So, empaths need to enforce boundaries, and it can start with, okay, I've helped you with this one thing that you asked me for help with. That's all I can do for now, and have them sit on it. Have that, well, to sit with the experience would be a better way to word that. There are always going to be manipulators. That is the nature of things. We are entities of chaos and expressions of chaos, and sometimes that begets manipulators. Not all manipulators are, for lack of better terms, permanently broken. But honestly, it's better to assume that they are. For our empaths specifically, until you have these boundaries in place, until you're confident being able to go into new situations with new people and not be afraid of that shadow lurking in the corner, you know? But the empaths need to focus on small victories, not big victories. We need to focus on helping people with the little things so that they can figure out how to make their way to the bigger things. Because also, if you help them with every little problem, they'll never grow. They'll never learn how to figure this stuff out for themselves. And sometimes they just need to hear, hey, Google this phrase, and then it'll start them on their own journey. Any final words of guidance for our collective here on why empaths attract manipulators as well as they do? When it happens, you need to isolate. If you think you're being gaslit, if you think you're being manipulated, don't even go and tell anyone. Just take some time to yourself, listen to some music, and think about it. Just give it time. The best thing you can do in every situation that has to do with empathy is to give it time. I will say, as an empath, there have been many situations where I've wanted to rush in and say things and do things. It is very, very rare that I have regretted holding my tongue. It is rare that I have regretted giving it time. Like, I have a 90% rate here where when I give things space and time, that's, in the end, things are revealed to show me why that was the right thing to do. And healthy people, not manipulators, but healthy people, kind of like it when people set those boundaries and take that time. They kind of appreciate that you're not, well, easily duped and taking everything everyone says at face value. If you take time and think and really process, it really does build up your credibility later on down the line. It takes time, but I'm telling you, space and time are your best tools as an empath. So when you're overwhelmed, when you're feeling manipulated, when you're confused, just don't go into full shutdown mode, but take some you time. And again, listen to some music. I think you'd be surprised how many messages can come through music. So that's all I've got for you. Seems kind of short, but that's the nature of this reading. So I guess I'll see y'all in the next one.